What's going on, YouTube? It's the Bushy Beard, and I'm back, and I'm bushier than ever. And right now, we got the story of Mac Miller's final photo. I saw this, and I thought it would be really pretty cool to check out. But we have the contest for Death Wish. It's until the end of this month. I'm gonna do a live stream where I pick 3 winners and 3 backups. Also, if you want to enter, you go to the contest video, you click on it, and then you comment inside that video, and you are entered. I have started a kind of a charity fundraiser for the Innocence Project of Florida. It's where I work, and I really enjoy working there, and so I figured I would try to use this platform to give back. I have the world's hottest chocolate. Hottest is in spiciest. And so what I'm doing is, for every $100 we raise, I will eat 1 square of the chocolate. 1,200 would be 12 squares, which is 1 full bar. And then I have 3 of them, so if we get up to 3,600, I'll eat all 3, which will not be fun. I don't think we'll get up to that much, but you never know. So if you have money, I understand there's a pandemic going on, and if you don't have it, that's fine. Consider donating. Also, I put a link here that shows how they use the money. So right now we're at $25, so we have enough to pay for mailing 25 inmates questionnaires about their cases. If we hit the 1,200, we will be able to do this, pay for DNA testing of evidence. Also, we will help pay for the screening process of each case, for 2 cases. So yeah, I think that would be pretty cool. So if you would, please consider it, and if not, that's okay. You know, I understand right now is a tough time for everybody, and we don't all have extra money. So anyways, it is time to get into the video, the story of Mac Miller's final photo. I'm excited for this one.
I got a text from a friend of mine, and then I immediately got a call from the photo editor. It's literally
So this is a shortened version of it. I think there's a long version, but that was an hour long, and I don't have an hour to spend watching this. So yeah, we're going to go with the 10-minute version.
The day before he posted my photograph on his Instagram. It was like the last post he put. I was really at a loss for words. I didn't know what to do. I was like, it was really like haunting.
I bet that's interesting. I think it's really cool that they did this and that they created something about the last photo that he ever took, you know, because otherwise it would just be another photo. Now it's something famous.
My name's Kriston Felber. I'm a photographer. I started getting interested in photography probably around 13 or 14, something like that. I think it gives you an excuse to be curious and to sort of get involved in certain worlds that you wouldn't ordinarily have access to. The thing that I love about it is that you get to meet amazing people, and you get to be involved in these worlds that you wouldn't ordinarily get to see in your everyday life.
I bet being a photographer for celebrities is quite a trip. I bet you get to meet and learn a whole lot of stories, which would be fantastic. Also, I'm probably going to try to pause a lot because I really don't want this to get the B word, and so we are going to try to not have that happen. Last month, Christian was hired to photograph recording artist Mac Miller for the Vulture magazine article. After the article was published, Mac Miller passed away unexpectedly at the age of 26. Jeez. Days. Oh, after it was published, okay. Christian's photos became the last ever taken of the beloved artist. Man.
Well, I had shot for Vulture a couple of years ago. I photographed Joey Badass, Summer Jam. Okay. Basically hung out with him for most of the day. And so I think that the photo editor probably just drew a correlation between Joey Badass and Mac Miller, and there's music. And so I wound up going out there to Bowery Hotel, pouring rain, it was a big thunderstorm, I got soaking wet. The publicist told me to go to the back of the Bowery Hotel to meet them. So I showed up and went to the back, and he was just there with the writer hanging out. And I just went over and we just started talking, and I kind of got involved in the discussion. We started talking about like the music industry and all that. He had to do like more interview stuff. So him and the writer went up to his room. I just kind of waited around for them to be done. And then finally, they're like, all right, let's do some photos. So I went up to his room. They were still kind of finishing up the interview, so I shot them interacting because I knew that the photo editor wanted that. And then we started getting into portraits.
It's so cool how that, like, this is also something you would never really know behind the scenes, right? Like, this is behind the scenes of an interview, and it's new to me. So the fact that it's like they meet and then they shoot during the end of the interview, and then they do, I mean, it all makes sense, but it's just things I never thought about, and I think it's pretty cool.
And I really like the window light. I usually shoot natural light anyway, so like, can you just sit here and just start taking portraits like that.
Look at his eyes.
And they came up with the idea of maybe doing more on-camera flash stuff, and he started getting into that, kind of coming up with his own ideas, and he put like a lampshade on his head, and he came up with the idea of riding that bull that he posted on his Instagram. It was like a leather bull that comes in all of the rooms there at the Bowery Hotel. It was funny, it was hilarious, so it worked out. And I was like really surprised how game he was to just do kind of whatever. Continued to do portraits, and it was tricky because my lens was broken at the time, so the autofocus wasn't working, and it was shooting really shallow. So I wanted to make sure I was getting it in focus. So that shot that we did like that actually took like, I shot it first, then we started shooting other things, then I called him back because I was like, I don't know how in focus, because I really wanted his eye to just be like tack sharp. And because he's
I'm actually after this gonna look to see if he has a website and maybe he sells some like prints of it or something. I think that would be really cool to have.
I don't know how in focus, because I really wanted his eye to just be like tack sharp. And because he's like, he's kind of like very self-conscious, like kind of like shy, and even though he's goofy and kind of out there, but he's like, he has a sort of a underlying shyness, and even though he comes off as confident a lot, like I think a lot of what was going on with him in the press, I think kind of made him like reassess his relationship with like all that publicity and all this like gossip and all this nonsense. Mm-hmm. So I think for me that pose was like super fitting. I was like, that's perfect. Like that's the shot, because it just seemed to fit in with the narrative. And so that's why I was like, I need to make sure I get the shot. Like I can't screw this one up, because I felt like, again, one was like already a little out of focus. I'm like, I need to make sure I like got it.
That's really cool to think about, right? So he realized that this was going to be the picture that encapsulated his life at that current moment, and that's awesome. That's really cool.
So I gave him the photos as well as a couple of the outtakes that weren't published.
What do you say about the photo?
Well, because I was asking him like which he preferred, and I was like, well, what about the hand over the face? He's like, no, I love that. And I showed him the back of the camera, and he's like, yo, it's fire. And I was like, all right, cool.
Some sad news from the music world. The rapper Mac Miller is dead at the age of just 26. The Pittsburgh native's real name was Malcolm McCormick. He's known for songs including Self-Care, Loud, and Smile Back.
The fact that it was like my portrait was like the last photograph that was ever taken of him, and it's weird. I mean, photography is a strange thing that way. Like, part of the beauty of a photograph is that it freezes a moment in time. And it's just funny because I was thinking back to what I was thinking then, taking that portrait. It's just this still moment of him, covering his face. But in my mind, I was thinking, I was like, oh, this looks great. But at the same time, I was like, my lens was broken. I'm like, I hope this is in focus. Like, that was like what I was thinking. I was like, I really hope, like, you're not thinking on that level. You're just like going through the motions, and it's weird. It's strange when an image becomes so prominent and like exalted, and it almost like transcends the medium. And I've never had that happen to me with a photograph. This is the first time this ever happened. And it was weird seeing it in real time. That
is such a cool picture too. They did a really good job with it. Yeah, that's exactly it. A picture is a frozen memory, and you're going to and to have it that something so encapsulating, like this picture encapsulated who he was at that exact moment, is like hidden but still can see out, right? You can't see him, but he can see you, kind of thing. You know, that's a really powerful photo.
Like immediately after I took, like, you know, it was posted, this happened. So it wasn't like, you know, a photograph that I took 5 years ago and then he died. It was like immediate, and it was so bizarre. Like just watching the whole social media frenzy and just media frenzy, you know, getting calls like all over the place, and like, you know, my syndication agent was like, Apple's reaching out, they want to use it. But then at the same time, it's showing up online everywhere, showing up on, you know, was it G-Eazy, like projected it behind him. Like my sister texted me, she's like, hey, look at this. Like I got 5,000 followers, and like it literally doubled in like a matter of days. And you realize like how many people, I mean, like lives he's touched, which was really kind of.
That is very true.
Like people sending me photos of tattoos that they're getting of my photograph, and you're like, that's crazy.
Awesome.
He was funny, he was hilarious, like super goofy, super warm, super open, really friendly. And you can just tell that like, he just has like a very endearing quality to him. Like it's hard to say no, you know, like when you're hanging out with him, like you just want to be around him. I was like, I admire that you don't give a fuck about most things. Cause he just didn't give a fuck. And then he was like, no, but I do give a fuck about my music. Like that's the thing.
And you could tell that with his music, is that you could tell he was a perfectionist, and that everything from every note had to be perfect and perfectly placed, and it came out with masterpieces.
If it ain't about a dream, then it ain't about me. Go a couple full weeks without a good night's sleep. Imagination, making musical creation, a journey that I'm facing, plus the paper that I'm chasing, got me crazy after saying, and with the lames I see you hating, but there's nothing that you changing. Thumbs up, I'm maintaining, no complaining when it's raining. I'll be in another zone, move out my mother's home to a world to call my own. I ain't gonna play around no more, find a difference from the ground and the floor. If we gotta fight, I'll be down for.
Just try not to get, you know,
the beat is sweet, it got me cheesy from cheek to cheek.
I also think I've seen this one.
Life couldn't get better.
This song.
This gon' be the best day ever.
I have, yeah. That was really cool. I loved that video. I thought it was really interesting because it's a moment in time that you don't really know about. You don't really know about the last picture taken unless you talk to the person who took it. And I think that was so cool to be able to talk to him and figure it out, you know? Anyways, I do Mac Miller every Monday, so if you want to continue on my journey with him, please consider subscribing. I also have a playlist with lots of Mac Miller's reactions that you can go ahead and watch. If you like this video, if you could just please give it a thumbs up, it'd be much appreciated. Or you can give it a thumbs down. It's not going to hurt me any. Or you can give it a thumbs up because pressing a button's not going to hurt you. Anyways, yeah. Consider subscribing, and coffee contest and donating if you can. If not, understandable. And as always, until next time, YouTube, smile like you mean it from the Bushy Beard.